This NFL Week 3 pregame show of the NFL Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by DraftKings Sportsbook. Download the app now and use promo code SGP. New customers can score $200 in bonus bets instantly with a bet just $5 on football. Only on DraftKings Sportsbook with code SGP. We're also brought to you by Game Time. Snag the tickets without the stress. Use promo code CFBX on your first purchase to save $20. Download the Game Time app and use promo code CFBX. We're also brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Play the Underdog Pick'em in college or NFL and win up 20 times your money in one game. Plus, every Sunday, they're giving away $100,000. Use promo code SGPN at Underdog Fantasy for a 100% deposit bonus of up to $500. Finally, we're brought to you by Hall of Fame Bets, the sports betting research platform for parlays, player props, and game lines. Download the Hall of Fame Bets app or visit hofbets.com and use promo code SGPN to get 50% off your first month and start making smarter bets today. Welcome, everyone, to the NFL Week 3 pregame show. Going to get you guys up to date on all the last-minute happenings right now around the NFL. We'll get to some weather. I know I got my guy here, Lante, with me. He's on the East Coast there. He's been telling me about some of the weather that's going on there. So we'll go game by game. We're doing something similar that we do it last week. We'll go through every game, maybe some line movements, up-to-date injury information. We'll also get that weather report out for you. And again, we'll be heavy on props for each game for this NFL Week 3. But you guys, like I mentioned, joining me here to help me break it down. Guys know me as the voice of the NBA Gambling Podcast, the MLB Gambling Podcast, and of course here on the NFL Gambling Podcast, it's Lante Smith. Lante, I know you were up late last night sweating out that Hawaii game, my man.
Yeah, we got there on the early number, man. we beat the close. It actually middled. I think it was 2.5 earlier in the week. Closed 3.5. Laid the 2.5, laid the money line. Yeah, man. But ready for these props. I think we did pretty good last week with running through some things. So yeah, looking forward to it. It's not the most attractive slate, especially after that college football Saturday that we had. But yeah, it's still some money to be made.
Oh yeah, people are still going to be tuning in to watch the National Football League for sure. Shout out to the chat. We got Riley in there. We got Moneyline Mac in there. Mac's about to start drinking for 13 straight hours. Good luck to your liver and kidneys, my friend. Got Dick Puncher in there as well. Appreciate you guys joining us. And drop your props if you guys have any as we kind of go game by game here for the NFL Week 3 schedule. Lante, let's dive right into it, my man. First game, we got the Denver Broncos and the Miami Dolphins. Currently, the line is Dolphins -6. Total is set at 47. We'll get some injury news here. I think the bigger news here is for the Miami Dolphins that Jalen Waddle has been ruled out for this game against the Denver Broncos as he is in the concussion protocol. And Teron Armstead, their offensive tackle, is also questionable here tonight, or this afternoon, I should say, with a back, ankle, and knee. So every sorts of ways for Armstead right now in this game. Nothing really significant for the Denver Broncos here. Frank Clark, linebacker, is going to be out for this game against Miami, and Justin Simmons, their safety, is going to be out in this game here as well. Weather perspective for this game for the Dolphins down there in Miami. I'm currently seeing, let's see here, Miami, and I don't see anything weather related. It does say the temperature is going to feel like 104 degrees down there in this game in Miami.
When doesn't it feel like that?
Yeah, the wind. Yeah, you're right. When doesn't it? So nothing significant of weather there. So let's get into some props here for this game here, Lante. Anything that you do like for this game?
Yeah, I like a couple of things. I'm gonna go with. I know everybody's gonna be probably loading up on Tyreek Hill. I know they got the underdog. That he's the underdog. Like play of
The
the
promo
day,
of the
or
week, yeah.
yeah, or whatever that is. Yeah, so I should know since they sponsor it. But yeah, I think that Barrios has a decent game. I mean, even last week we saw him working out of the slot. He had a pretty good game with Tua, and a good connection in that slot. So I'm gonna go with Barrios over receptions. Let me see if I can find the most current number. I see 2.5. It's kind of juiced. I would probably just get it up to three,
Yeah.
3.5, and you'll get probably even money on that. I think he has a pretty big day in the slot opposite to Tyreek Hill. I mean, obviously they're probably going to double bracket him, so I think he has a pretty big day. On the other side of the ball, I'm kind of hoping. I'm waiting for Javonte Williams to get more involved. I mean, he's his over under on rushing receiving yards is 66 and a half. He had 12 for 44 rushing and 2 for 14 in week 2. He's coming off that injury, and I think that he is going to get more acclimated. And if you look at you know some of the things that Alvin Kamara did under Sean Payton, I think it's kind of similar skill set. So I'm waiting for him to break out here. I think they lean more on the run game instead of the pass game, having Russ drop back and throw dirt balls and overthrow people. So I like Javonte Williams over 66.5 rushing receiving yards.
Yeah, I'm not going to argue against the Barrios play. And as you were kind of saying that, I was looking up what Barrios did last week. And you're still in baseball mode because I typed in Jose Barrios instead of Braxton Barrios. But yeah, I don't want to say last week, but on the season, 5 receptions, 70 yards. But last week, he had 2 receptions, 28 yards week 1 against the Chargers, 3 receptions for 42 yards. I'm curious to see what his yardage number is for this game. Because obviously we know there's going to be a pivot here off of Jalen Waddle. I'm currently seeing Barrios at 30.5, so I don't hate that number,
Yeah, that's short.
especially with a total in this game of 47 right
Right,
now.
that's short.
Yeah, let's get over to the next game. My Houston Texans, they are in down also in Florida to take on the Jacksonville Jaguars. Currently, the Jaguars are a 7-point favorite. 43.5 is the total. Looking at some weather in this game, same feels like 97, but again, wind doesn't it feel like that in Florida and Texas? So not much, at least wind or rain in this game. A couple of things I know we talked about this on the propcast that I do like for this game. I'm looking at CJ Stroud, his pass attempts or his pass completions in this game. The first 2 weeks, he's thrown for exactly, or not exactly, but he's thrown for 40 plus attempts. And he's had 28 completions and 30 completions, respectively, in those first 2 games. And it kind of goes according to game script. I do think that we are going to see points in this game. I do like the over 43.5 currently as it stands. I already did play it at 44.5, but I mean, I got the bad number on it. But I think this is going to be another game where the Texans are going to be playing from behind. I think the Jaguars, after what happened last week against the Chiefs, where their offense was pretty much non-existent in that game, they had some red zone turnovers as well. I think they're flex their muscles a little bit against this Texans defense. Last 2 weeks, the Texans have given up 25 points to the Ravens, and the last week 31 to the Indianapolis Colts. And a couple other ones. I've been on the Tank Dell train here, Lante. I'm looking at him again this week. Noah Brown was put on the IR prior to last week for this Texans wide receiving group. So if you want to take a look at Tank Dell, 3.5 over on his receptions at plus 124. But I also do like his receiving yards in this game at 35.5. It is a little juice at minus 130, but definitely shop around for the best number. But those are the guys I'm looking at for the Texans as far as player props in this game. Anything you like in this game here, Lante?
Not really. The only thing that I do like is the Tank, not Tank. Yeah, it is Tank Bigsby to score a
Yeah.
touchdown. I think it's plus like 225. If you shop around, I think you can get like plus 230 at the highest. And anything over 2-1 is, I think, fine. He's getting a lot of goal line work. I mean, obviously Travis Etienne is not the bruising back that Tank Bigsby is. So I think he has a good shot to score a touchdown. I don't want to touch his yardage or anything like that because it's kind of up and down. I'm not sure what game plan is going to be in place here, because I mean we've all heard about the Houston Texans and their success against Jacksonville, so I wouldn't be surprised if they come in here and give them a game and it forces Trevor Lawrence to have to throw a little bit more. But I do like Tank Bigsby down on the goal line to score a touchdown. I also like Aluakon over tackles and assists. He's a monster tackling. He's at home. Usually those scorekeepers give a little bit more edge if they kind of jump on a pile. They give him an assist instead of him making initial contact. So I like Aluakon over 10.5 tackles. That's at plus money. I think he can clear this in 3 quarters, 2.5, 3 quarters.
You're also looking at Tank Dell to score a touchdown. Gave it out last week 5-1 on the propcast. That number's now down to plus 390 in this game. Also looking at Josh Allen to record a sack for the Jacksonville Jaguars over 0.75 plus 105. I did mention the injuries for the Texans, but Derek Stingley Jr., their third overall pick from last season, is going to be out. Their cornerback, and then Laramie Tunsil is also going to be out for this week for the Texans offensive line. Second straight game that he is going to miss for the Houston Texans. Let's get over to the next game here, Lante. We've got the Buffalo Bills. They are taking on the Washington Commanders. This line currently sits at 5.5 in this game. Money has come in on the Commanders. That line has come down. Money line minus 245 for the Bengals and 2-1 on the price, plus 200 for the Washington Commanders. Weather-wise, in this game, it is, I think, currently raining right now, but the indications are that the rain should be clearing up before kickoff, so it shouldn't have any direct impact, at least during the game, for the game between the Bills and the Commanders here. But I really didn't have much for this game here. Lante, did you have anything that you did like as far as props?
Yeah, I like a couple of things. I mean, you never can go too heavy with the weather here, but I'm going to go with Sam Howell over a half interception. I think that this is probably a step up in class from what he's played in the first 2 games as far as defensively. And I think both coaches are familiar with each other. Sean McDermott was on the staff in Carolina when Ron Rivera was coaching the Panthers, so got kind of some familiarity there. So I think it'll be a defensive game. I do think Sam Howell has a tendency to try to fit things in tight windows, so I think he'll be able. I think the Bills will be able to maybe pick him off. Maybe we get a tip ball here or there. But I think over a half interception for Sam Howell is good to go. I also like Antonio Gibson under 34.5 rushing and receiving yards. I mean, he's just not getting a lot of work. He had 2 carries last game. I think he had maybe 3 the game before that. He did have 44 receiving yards last week, but it kind of was a broken play. So it wasn't to do with volume or anything like that. So I think under 34.5 rushing receiving yards is a really good bet for him. And I like that Sam Howell prop, but it's with the weather game, it's kind of hard to dictate whether you see, what you think you're going to see, and the weather can change up so fast. But I like those two.
Yeah, first 2 weeks for Antonio Gibson, at least on the ground, 5 attempts total, 18 rushing yards for him. So not really a part of the game plan here. Let's go over to a game that's not going to have any weather impact, and that's going to be over with the Atlanta Falcons. They are in Detroit to take on the Lions. Currently, this line sits -3 in favor of the Lions. Total is at 47. Obviously, Lions playing in a dome. Shout out to Colby, aka the database. He loves his football in domes. Props in this game, Lante. Maybe one of the higher scoring games of the week here, especially with Lions playing at home. But any props that you do like in this game?
Yeah, not really. I like Sam Laporta. I know somebody put it in the chat. I can't remember who it was, but he put it in the chat. Yeah, I like Sam Laporta. He's getting targeted a bunch over the middle. I think the Falcons defense. I think the back end of the Falcons defense is actually not as bad as I thought coming into the season. But I do think Goff can work that intermediate and short game. Maybe look at some Jahmyr Gibbs. Also, I know Jahmyr Gibbs is a fan favorite. Actually, probably like a good test to see about Rookie of the Year, him versus Bijan. So it'll be interesting to see how those guys perform. I do think that the Falcons are a bit fugazi just because of what they did, and they probably should have lost that game last week. I think Jordan Love and kind of gave it away playing shorthanded. But I do like Sam Laporta, anytime touchdown score, first touchdown score, over receptions, any way you can get him. I'm pretty much a big Sam Laporta fan today.
I should have mentioned that David Montgomery for the Lions is going to be out for this game for the Lions. And then also Amon-Ra St. Brown is expected to suit up, but he's dealing with a toe injury. And then CJ Gardner-Johnson, safety for the Lions, was put on the IR. And then injuries as far as the Falcons here, Jeff Okudah is officially listed as questionable. And also Cordero Patterson is officially listed as questionable here today for the Falcons. Yeah, I think this might be a big Jahmyr Gibbs game, whether you want to look at rushing or receiving yards for him in this game. Let me see what that number currently is.
Why not look at both?
Yeah, why not? So combined right now for Gibbs is going to be 82.5. If you want to look at his receiving yards alone, that is going to be at where is Jameer Gibbs on the list here? It's 28 and a half for receiving yards, and that rushing yards probably puts him around 56, if I'm not mistaken. My math, sorry, 50 and a half. So, yeah, I think this might be a big Gibbs game here. Obviously, if he's on your fantasy team, you definitely want to start him here, especially he's going to get a majority of the work with
Absolutely.
David Montgomery being out in this game. Next game here, Lonte, let's get over to the Colts and the Ravens. Currently, this line is sitting in favor of the Ravens at -7.5. Total is at 43. Do want to get to the injury report here for the Baltimore Ravens because it is very significant. They're missing 7 guys. So Marcus Williams, safety, is out. Ronnie Stanley is out. Let's see. Tyler Linderbaum is also out. Their center, Marlon Humphrey, Justice Hill, and Odell Beckham Jr. is also out for this game. So it might just turn out to be the Lamar Jackson show. And obviously, for the news for the Indianapolis Colts, no Anthony Richardson in this game. For them, he is in concussion protocol after suffering a concussion last week against the Texans. So it's going to be the Gardner Minshew show here for the Colts. Ryan Kelly is under center for this. The starting center is going to be out also for the Colts in this game. Weather-wise in this game, let's see here. I am seeing let's see where Baltimore and the Ravens, 51% chance of rain during the game, and then wind gusts of about 7 miles per hour. So nothing significant as far as wind, but we are expected to see rain in this game. Not a lot for me in this game here, Lonte. A lot of question marks for me on both sides, but I think this might be one of the uglier games of the week here. Anything you do like in this game?
Yeah, definitely gonna be an ugly game. I do like Zay Flowers over receptions is at plus money right now. I think you get 4.5 at plus money. I mean, I just think that he's a target monster. Like he's getting open so fast and it's so easy. And Lamar is just flipping it out to him. I think he has a good chance to have a big day on the secondary. I do also on the opposite end. I kind of like Josh Downs over his receptions as well. He's really good at working the slot on either side. So I think I'm gonna look at those two guys. But as for the rest, like you said, it's gonna be an ugly game. I'm not gonna have much in it besides those two guys over the receptions.
The game that has the highest total on the board is going to be the LA Chargers. They are in Minnesota to take on the Vikings. Currently, the line is -1 in favor of the Vikings. Excuse me. Total shot all the way up to 54.5 in this game. No weather implications in this game being played in a dome. Shout out to Kobe, aka the Dantabase, loves his football in dome games. I mean, this is the game. If you're going to play overs, this has to be this game here. I mean, as chalky as it is, but the dude has just been getting it done every single week. Justin Jefferson, I mean, can you really get away from him for what he's been able to do, at least in the first 2 weeks of the regular season? 100+ receiving yards in each of the first 2 games. Vikings coming off of the, I believe, the extended rest because they played their last game was on Thursday Night Football, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
In week 2 against the Eagles. I am currently seeing Justin Jefferson's receiving prop at 100.5.
That's ridiculous.
But the guy that I've pivoted to the first 2 weeks for his touchdown prop, Jordan Addison, the second receiver there for this Minnesota Vikings team. I like him to find the end zone. What do you like in this game as far as player props?
Yeah, so I would like a couple of things. I mean, like you said, it's one of the highest totals, if not the highest on the board. Expect a bunch of players to cash their props. I mean, I think every receiver or the top 3 receivers are over 50.5, like receiving yards for Minnesota. I like Hockenson over 50.5. I think that's kind of short. He's at 766 in week 2 on 8 targets, 8 for 35 in week 1 on 9 targets. I mean, he's kind of unlucky there, just getting some short stuff. But I think he has a big day against this Chargers defense. I do like Justin Herbert over 8.5 rushing yards. He had 5 for 18 in week 1. Kind of didn't run a lot in week 2, but I mean, again, both of these teams are 0-2. You mentioned it on the show, on the Monday Night Football show, that you don't want to go down when we're talking about the Bengals. You don't want to go 0-3. So I think all bets are off here. I think anything goes with Justin Herbert. I think he's going to be free to run and put his body on the line here. So I like him over 8.5 rushing yards. And we're going to see a lot of, explosive passes and a lot of broken tackles at the front 7. So I like Derwin James over 7.5 tackles and assists. He had 11 last game. He had 6 in week 1, but again, this will be a different type of game for where you're seeing a lot more passing. I mean, Minnesota doesn't have a run game. I mean, I know they got Cam Akers, but how fast is he going to be implemented into the system? I know he has some familiarity, being that he played with under O'Connell in LA. But again, you kind of got to get adjusted. Not sure how much work you'll get here. Madison has been pretty much non-existent here. So I think we see a lot of passes from Kirk, and that leads to Derwin James going over that tackle and assist prop.
Yeah, I just think this is going to be a game where I think both quarterbacks will be having 300 plus receiving
Yep.
yards.
Yep.
I mean, if you want to put that in a same game parlay, I think that you'll get some nice plus odds on that. I'm just going to see if I can do that here quickly before we move on to the next game here. Let's see. All right, Justin Herbert passing yards. Let's go over 299.5. That's interesting. And then Kirk Cousins 299.5. That gets you let me get this out. Let me get that out. Plus 270. That's not
Not
too
bad.
bad.
Yeah, not
Yeah.
bad.
Well, actually, I'm sorry. That's not right. Because I had the under there on Justin Herbert. Plus 290. So close to 3-1 for them to,
Close.
yeah, to both have over 300 passing yards. All right, Lance, next game on the board here. Let's go over to the Patriots and the Jets. Currently, this line is minus 2.5 in favor of the Patriots. Totals at 35.5. Looking at the weather in this game, we are going to see 80% chances of rain, heavy in the second half. Wind gusts of up to 23 miles per hour in this game. Let's start with let me get to some injury news in this game for the New England Patriots. Nothing of significance for them. Jonathan Jones, cornerback, has been ruled out. Marcus Jones, also cornerback, has been ruled out. And Jack Jones, their three Jones cornerbacks are all out for this game. So they are very compromised at that position. Let's get over to the New York Jets. Obviously, we already know about Aaron Rodgers, who's going to be gone for majority of the season, if not the entire year. But also Dwayne Brown, starting offensive tackle, is going to be put on injured reserve for the offensive line of the New York Jets. It might just seem like that we're going to have to get on some running back props here, Lante. Yep. But what are you thinking about any player props in this game?
Yeah, you read my mind. I like Brees Hall. Any way you can get him rushing yards, rushing and receiving yards. I just think that the coaching staff, they don't trust Zach Wilson at all. I mean, I can't blame him at all. And we saw, I don't know if you've seen Brees tweet out the 4 football emojis for the 4 carries that he got. Yeah. So, I mean, we talked about it. I think that usually when players lash out and say stuff like that, that the coaching staff makes an emphasis to get them the ball early and often. I mean, with the weather going here, Zach Wilson not being as effective through the air, I think that sets up for a perfect Brees Hall game, get him a lot of work in the rush and receiving game. I also think it's correlated to Zach Wilson under his passing yards. I think I see 177.5. It's kind of all over the place. I think I see 172, 175. Yeah, but you can find 177. That's at DraftKings. 177.5 is at DraftKings. So you can find that. I would go under that number. I doubt he even throws it 20 times, especially against Belichick, who he hasn't had success against. I mean, not many people have. But yeah, so I like Zach Wilson under and Brees Hall to go over. I think those are both correlated.
Yeah, that was my play. It's going to be the Zach Wilson under passing yards in this game, especially, number one with the success that Bill Belichick has had against Zach Wilson, but also it just plays into the weather factor here about what's going on there, especially in the second half. So this might be a game that ends up 13-10, something that low. I think even at 35.5, I would still probably go under on this number here. Next game, we got the Titans and the Browns. Currently, this line is sitting in favor of the Cleveland Browns, coming off the Monday Night Football loss against the Steelers. 3.5 is the spread right now. Totals at 37.5. Looking at the injuries for this game, obviously we know about Nick Chubb, who did get some, I guess, better news about definitely. His the knee injury. It's not anything that's going to be career ending for him, but obviously going to be out for the season. Greg Newsome, quarterback, is also out for this game for the Cleveland Browns. And then for the Tennessee Titans, looking at their injury report here, DeAndre Hopkins is going to play this Sunday against the Cleveland Browns. And then quickly looking at the weather in this game as well. For the, just lost my page on that. Let me go back to where I had it here. Let's see. Cleveland, we see wind gusts of up to 20 miles per hour. Nothing as far as rain, but it is going to be windy again in Cleveland. Player props in this game here, Lante.
Yeah, I think these two are correlated. Actually, I actually like a bunch in this game. I like over 12.5 receiving yards for Derrick Henry. I know Mal was on that last. Me and Mal were on that last week. He put it in the MLB chat, and it didn't quite get there, but he didn't play it. So I'm still undefeated on my plays to Mal if he's listening. I do think that the over 12.5 receiving yards and the under 72.5 rushing yards for Derrick Henry is kind of correlated.
Okay.
Cleveland's defense is playing really well. I mean, the first game they was weather related, but they shut down Joe Mixon. Only allowed 55 rushing yards versus the Pittsburgh Steelers. So I think Derrick Henry has a time here with that front seven of Cleveland at home. I also like over 9.5 rushing yards for Tannehill. The pass rush is going to get home for Cleveland against this Tennessee offensive line. We saw New Orleans have success against them in week one. Was it week one? Yeah, in week one where they played. So I think Tannehill is going to use his legs a little bit more. I also like Watson under 230.5 passing yards. I just think it's going to be a ground and pound game for the Cleveland Browns. I think they're going to kind of keep it short and sweet here, try to control the clock. The Titans are going to try to control the clock. It's going to be an ugly low possession game. So I think Deshaun Watson goes under 230.5 here.
Yeah, I did play Amari Cooper over. That's the only guy that I do trust. I mean, if Watson is going to throw the football, it's going to Amari Cooper. Last week, even with dealing with a groin injury on Monday Night Football, 10 targets, 7 receptions, 90 yards in that game for Amari Cooper. So I did play the over 51.5 on his receiving yards in this game here. Next game on the board, we'll get to the last early morning game, the Saints and the Packers. Currently, the line is -1.5 in favor of the Packers. 42.5 is the total. Looking at this from a weather perspective, we have wind gusts, of 17 miles per hour. Injury news in this game: Jamal Williams is going to be out for this New Orleans Saints offense, which I think just puts your guy in line to get a bulk of the carries. Kendre Miller.
Yes, sir.
And also Foster Moreau is going to be out for this game as well for the New Orleans Saints. So maybe some Taysom Hill action in this game as well. For the Packers, I am currently seeing, let's see here, Zane Anderson, safety, is going to be out. Eldon Jenkins, guard, is going to be out for this game. David Bakhtiari is questionable. Lucas Van Ness, linebacker, is questionable. Jared Alexander, questionable. Christian Watson, questionable. And Aaron Jones is also questionable as well. I'll try to see if I can pull up some updated news on Aaron Jones here. But anything that you do like in this game here, Lante?
Yeah, I'm kind of waiting. I mean, on the side, I know we're not talking about the side right now, but I think I've seen a little bit of money come in on Green Bay. So I think some of those guys are going to be playing. It's sitting at 1. It's like 1.5 popping up right now. Yeah. So I think some of those guys are going to be playing. But it doesn't have anything to do with these two that I like. I like Jordan Love over 13.5 rushing yards. He had 3 for 12 in week 1, 2 for 23 in week 2. I just think with some of those guys back, he'll be able to, the defense will be able to react to what he's doing rather than just sitting back and playing. I mean, he didn't have Aaron Jones. He hasn't had a healthy receiving core. So if he gets those guys back, I think the offense will be in a little bit better rhythm. He'll pretty much use his legs here. The New Orleans pass rush is really good. Their front seven is really good. So I think escaping that pocket and stepping up for a few gains, I think he'll be able to get over that number. Let's switch to the defensive side of the ball for Green Bay. I like Quay Walker over 7.5 tackles and assists. He had a career high 17. Career high 17 in week 2, played every single snap. So he's going to be on the field. That's what you want. He's going to be on the field. New Orleans, we know, loves that short game. The run game is probably not going to be as effective here, but he loves Derek Carr loves the dump down. He loves the pass over the middle to the tight end. I think that's perfect for Quay Walker, who's in the middle of that defense. He only had 4 in week 1, but he did leave with a concussion. But just he showed the resilience to come back and add 17 in week 2, played in every snap. So I think he goes over this number pretty easily here.
The first of the afternoon schedule, Panthers and Seahawks. Line is currently sitting at 5 in favor of the Seahawks, total at 43. Obviously, the big news for the Panthers, no Bryce Young in this game. Andy Dalton is going to get the start for the Carolina Panthers. Any looking at some other injury news for the Carolina Panthers. I am currently seeing, let's see here, Justin Houston, linebacker, questionable. And that is pretty much it for the Panthers. Seattle Seahawks, I did see DK Metcalf. He's dealing with a ribs injury, but he is expected to play here today. Jamal Adams is not expected to suit up, but he should be back next week for the Seattle Seahawks secondary. He hasn't played in, I think it's been over a year for sure after dealing with that torn quad injury. But weather-wise in this game here, Lante, I'm seeing that there is going to be rain in this game between Panthers and Seahawks. 46% chance of rain in this game. But any player props or anything that's sticking out to you in this game?
Yeah, man, I like Adam Thielen over 3.5 receptions. I think Andy Dalton's going to have a good chemistry. We saw Bryce kind of heat up, and he was kind of the only guy getting open for him. Although he hit DJ Chark and a couple other guys later in the game, but I think Adam Thielen was the winner in that game and on those routes. So I think he goes over 3.5 receptions. He's not going to run deep again. The Seattle secondary is susceptible to giving up decent chunk plays. So I think Adam Thielen over the middle on those slants, on those curls, I think he'll be effective. So I like over 3.5 receptions for him. Outside of that, man, I didn't really like a ton, to be honest with you.
Yeah, not a lot I liked in this game either. Let's get over to the Cowboys and the Cardinals. Line is currently sitting at 13 in favor of the Cowboys, total at 43. No weather implications in this game being played in a dome. Shout out to Kobe, who loves his dome football. Let's see here. As far as injuries in this game for the Dallas Cowboys, I am seeing, let's see, nothing really of significant. I know Tyron Smith is questionable here. He was added to the injury report on Saturday. We heard the news about Trayvon Diggs, torn ACL. Unfortunate for that secondary, that defense, and how well they've been playing. And then Zach Martin, guard for the Dallas Cowboys, also officially questionable still for the offensive line there. For the Arizona Cardinals, nothing really of significance. As far as player props here, Lante, I'm just going to go back to what's been working for me in the first 2 weeks and has cashed in both games. It's just taking the tight end position against this Cardinals team and just taking the over on their receiving yards. Jake Ferguson of the Dallas Cowboys, his number was I believe at 26.5 when I got it. The current number is at 24. I'm sorry, it was 24.5. Currently sitting at 24.5. So I think that he's going to go over. CeeDee Lamb, it's a little bit chalky, but again, the dude's an absolute monster. 71.5 for his total in this game against the Cowboys. So those are the two player props I was looking at least on the Cowboys side here. Anything that you did like in this game?
Man, I didn't like much. I think we see Tony Pollard out of the backfield a little bit more. So I like his rushing receiving yards. Slight lean more to the receiving yards, thinking that
19.5.
Yeah, I think he goes over that number. He could get that on the screen pass, and I think Dak's not really throwing the ball down the field. If you notice, I mean, he really hasn't had to in the first few games. So I mean, he's not going to have to in this game either. So I think you see a lot of check downs. I think Tony Pollard is going to be active here on the receiving end.
Bears and the Chiefs are in the afternoon slate here as well. Currently seeing the Chiefs are a 12.5 point favorite. Total is at 48 in this game. Weather as far as this game goes, let me see if I can find anything here. It should be pretty clear for this game. Wind is not a factor either. Injury report, let's start here with the Chicago Bears. Guys that are officially out, we already know that Eddie Jackson, safety, is going to be out for this game. He did not travel with the team to Kansas City. And Khalid Kareem, defensive end, has also been ruled out for this game for the Chicago Bears. For the Chiefs side, I am currently seeing Kadarius Toney is questionable. I believe that he is going to be playing for this for the Chiefs in this game. Isaiah Pacheco was dealing with a hamstring injury all week, but he is expected to suit up against the Bears in this game. But Latte, as far as player props, what do you like in this game?
Man, I only like one player prop in this game. It's gonna be an ugly game. The Chiefs should destroy these guys. I like TJ Edwards over 7.5 tackles and assists, 14 in week 1, 12 in week 2. The Chiefs, I'm pretty sure they're gonna be really heavy on Travis Kelce. That's right in TJ Edwards' zone. I think he has a bunch of tackles, racks them up. Actually, the Chiefs have been pretty balanced, I would say, in the first few weeks with running the ball and passing. I know Pat didn't have the receivers in week 1, but I think we see TJ Edwards rack up the tackles here. I mean, 26 tackles in the first 2 games against opponents who are more so. I guess they played the Bucks, who were. Well, I mean, we didn't know what to expect with the Bucks, and then they played. Who did they play in week 1? I can't remember who they played in week 1.
The Bucks,
Not the Bears.
Bears at Packers.
Yeah, oh yeah,
Week
okay.
one. They
Yeah,
had the
and then
Packers
that was
visiting
an
them.
Aaron Jones. That was an Aaron Jones special. Yeah, so I think he gets double digit tackles here. So TJ Edwards over 7.5 tackles and assists.
I'm going to go back to Justin Fields' rushing yards in this game because I know we talked about it on the Propcast, and then I know the guys have been talking about throughout the week the on and off issues that the Bears are having on and off the field, I should say. But I feel like that I think Justin Fields, in so many words, has said himself that he's thinking too much. He's playing a little robotic. I think that he'll play a little bit more freely in this game.
Mm-hmm.
I think that he'll go back to utilizing his legs in this game. So I like Justin Fields on his rushing yards over 59.5. Currently over on DraftKings. Last game we'll get to here is going to be the Sunday night football game here, Lante. Steelers at Raiders. Raiders currently a 2.5-point home favorite here. Total is sitting at 43 in this. Sorry, 3. The line is 3 now in favor of the Raiders. 43 is a total in this game. No weather implications in this game, obviously being played in a dome. Shout out to Kobe, loving his full dome football. One player prop I love in this game, that's gonna be Jaylen Warren, man. Whether that's gonna be receiving or rushing combination. There was a report that was put out by Ian Rapport. I don't know how much you want to put into that, but that he is going to have an increased workload. Is Jaylen Warren in this game, and we saw what he was able to do last week in that Monday Night Football game against the Browns. And for whatever reason, I don't know what's going on with Najee Harris. He just looks like he's carrying a piano on his back when he's running the football, or whatever the case might be. But Warren last week, he did have 6 rush attempts, 20 yards, but more importantly, 4 receptions on 6 targets, 66 receiving yards. He had a total of 86 yards in that game. So my favorite play as far as player props this week is Jaylen Warren over 15.5 receiving yards for that Sunday night football game. Anything that you do like in this game?
Not really, man. I'm a big fan of Jaylen Warren. He actually his dad went to school with my mom, so he's from around the area. Yeah, so he's good. They fined him for that hit, like 44K. That's his whole game check. That was pretty odd by the NFL.
Yeah,
I don't know if you've seen that. I think he had like a stiff arm on the side. Yeah, that was kind of weak. But I want to go Kenny Pickett over 1.5 touchdowns, man. But I just don't trust Matt Canada to scheme up anything for him to get there. I mean, he looked horrible this past few weeks. I mean, the Vikings, the Raiders secondary, I mean, it's not good at all. I think he should have some success here. I mean, we saw Josh Allen carve him up. We saw in week 1 them have trouble in the secondary as well. So I'm gonna go. I mean, it's at plus money. It's at the 145. I see 160 actually at DraftKings. So yeah, give me 1.5 over Kenny Pickett touchdown passes plus 160.
All right, Lante, let's put together a underdog fantasy entry for so let's pick 2 player props each that we like for the
How close
Sunday
did we come last week?
Man, I have to go back and check.
You know what's crazy is I took off Gabe Davis and he fucking scored, and Luke Musgrave didn't score.
I think I had Diggs that last week. I think he fell like 8 yards short of getting to the higher there on underdog fantasy's entry, but I'll kick it off here if you want to gather yours. So I'm going to go with, like I mentioned, Jaylen Warren. I think he's going to have a increased role. The reports are out there that he will have an increased role. So I took the higher on his 16.5 receiving yards. And then I'll go with Amari Cooper higher on his receiving yards. That's currently at 56.5 receiving yards for this game. I also do like a shout out to Underdog Fantasy, man. They for some players, they actually give you targets listed for them for you to put a higher or lower on. Amari Cooper right now 7.5 targets is listed on Underdog Fantasy, but Jaylen Warren for me higher 16.5, and Amari Cooper 56.5 receiving yards higher. What do you got, Lante?
Give me TJ Hawkinson over 50.5. Is it 50.5 on Underdog?
52.5 higher.
That's fine. I mean, 66 and 35, and he's had 8 targets and 9 targets. So I think he'll get there on this Chargers offense. It's gonna be a lot of passing going on here. So I like that. And give me something that we both like. Give me Breece Hall over 57.5 rushing and receiving yards. I think we see a big Breece Hall day today.
57.5 rushing and receiving yards, you said?
Yeah, is that what it is?
Yep, that's what it is
Yep, I'll
on.
take.
So, all right. So to recap it, we'll go Jalen Warren higher, 16.5 receiving yards. Amari Cooper higher, 56.5 receiving yards. Excuse me. TJ Hawkinson higher, 52.5 receiving yards, and Brees Hall higher, 57.5 rushing and receiving yards combined. We'll add in the promo this week of Tyreek Hill here, Lante. Do we think he goes higher or lower? 92.5 total yards. It's not just receiving, but it's total yards.
Yeah, I think he does.
All right.
I think he does. Yeah, I think he does. I mean, Denver's got a good secondary, but again, it's Tyreek Hill.
Yeah.
Come on.
All right. So our 5 pick entry here, including the promo of the week of Tyreek Hill. We like to higher on his 92.5 total yards. Our $100 entry will net us $2,000. And again, if you're watching us live, and if you haven't already gotten over to Underdog Fantasy, special promo up until October 4th, they are matching, or not matching, I should say, they are giving you a 100% deposit bonus on your first deposit of up to $500. A few weeks ago it was at $100, but they're in a giving mood. They're going up to $500 now on your first deposit. So again, make sure to get over to Underdog Fantasy, but you can only get that $500 if you use promo code SGPN. So again, make sure to get over to Underdog Fantasy. And we hopefully we can get in the money this week as far as our entry goes. Last order of business here, Lante. Let's put together a touchdown parlay, man. Let's do 3 players that we like together to find the end zone this week. I'll kick it off. I'll go with Jordan Addison. He's been my cash cow the first 2 weeks of the regular season. He scored in the first 2 weeks of the regular season as well. So I'm going to go Jordan Addison. That number is currently at, let's see here. Jordan Addison, where are you? Plus 195. Currently over on DraftKings. Who do you like to find the end zone?
Let's see. I like Javonte Williams to anytime touchdown score.
Javonte Williams for the Denver Broncos. Let me scroll up to him. He is at plus 130. I'm gonna throw in Tank Dell in there as well. Lante.
Yep.
Last week he was good to me. I think that again, I think this will be a higher scoring game between the Jaguars and the Texans here. And then you give me one more on who you like.
Let's see. Who else did I go with? I'm going to go. Do I want to go? We don't have a tight end there. I'm gonna go Sam Laporta. Anytime touchdown score.
Let's see. Sam Laporta. Plus 195 as well. All right, so we got Jordan Addison, Javonte Williams, Tank Dell, and Sam Laporta to find the end zone. That is going to come out to a 4-pick parlay of about 93 to 1.
Oh, yeah. Let's do it. That sounds good.
All right. There it is. Rapid fire for this NFL Week 3, going through our player props, some injury news update, and also weather update this week as well. Got our Underdog Fantasy entry in that we're going to cash, and then we're also going to hit this touchdown parlay that we gave out as well. So, Lance, anything else we want to mention, my friend, before we get out of here?
Nah, man. Good luck to everybody today. Man, we're going to be sweating out a lot of bets today.
Yeah, for sure.
Because I don't like a lot of sides, so I'm going to be on a bunch of player props.
Yeah, I didn't like a lot of sides this week either, so a lot of player props for me as well. I think the fantasy guys are live as well, so once you're done watching us, head over to the fantasy football guys. They'll answer all your sit and sit questions this week as far as your fantasy football teams go. And then later on, I believe at 11 Eastern, 12 Eastern, it'll be the main show with Sean and Kramer as they get you guys ready for NFL Week 3 for this week. We'll be back next week with the pregame show again as well. Appreciate everybody in the chat tuning in with us. Good luck with your bets this weekend. Let's break these books off and let it ride.